Lakeshore Drive, riding down 79. It's Friday night, all the girls are looking right.
Welcome back to Access Lakeshore Drive with actor and comedian Brian Dunkleman.
Well, welcome back to Access Lakeshore Drive. Today we have another very special guest, the one, the only funny man, Mr. Brian Dunkleman. Brian, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Love that intro.
Thrilled. Me and Linda both. Obviously, we have tons and tons and tons of questions that we want to ask. But what we like to do, we like to let people introduce themselves. So let's start off with that. Can you introduce our listeners to just a small tidbit of who you are?
Oh, absolutely. From the wonderful town of Ellicottville, New York, which is an hour south of Buffalo. There's a ski resort in my hometown. It's referred to as the Aspen of the East. The only difference is there are no mountains, and I'm the biggest celebrity that's ever been there. Other than that, they are very similar. I've been a stand-up comedian since I turned 20 years old, and done some acting, done some hosting, and here I am doing some podcasting. What's up, everybody?
Hey. Nice.
Hey. Well, Linda, I'll let you go ahead and get started.
Well, you know, you're just such a fascinating guy. I was reading up on you, and of course, the first thing that jumps off the page is the year on American Idol as co-host, and that's very interesting. And of course, the Friends thing and all that. I mean,
let's not forget Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place. Chestnut #1. That was my television debut. That's what most people remember me from.
Wow. Well, okay.
And Ryan Reynolds. Before he hit right after we worked together. I'm just saying, is it a coincidence? Maybe not.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Tell us about that. Why don't you talk about that show? Because, I'm living in Germany. I probably missed a lot of the stuff that was going on.
And honestly, Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. During this time, when you were just taking off, man, I was like 15 years old. So you're going to.
Oh, come on. Oh, my God. I can't believe you used that out
there, but
that's it. Most of my fan base was like 9, 10-year-old girls, and they're now all hitting about 30. It's perfect timing for me. Germany, Dunkleman. That's my people.
Yeah, that's what that freaked me out right there. I said, what? You got some German roots here.
Yeah, I should be very big there. I should be like Hasselhoff.
I was just thinking that.
We'll write you a song. We'll write you a song and get you up on those stages. All right.
I'm ready. Well, I started doing stand-up when I was 20 years old at a local bar in the ski resort town that I grew up in. And then I moved to Los Angeles when I was 25. And it just took me a couple years to get an agent and a manager. And that was my very first, I did a commercial for an insurance company. And I was so excited. It was the third audition I went on. I thought, oh, this is easy. I made it. And then I don't think I booked another one for like another 200 auditions. But I went to the fitting where you get your wardrobe, and there were two of the same outfit. And I was like, this is weird. And then a guy who looked just like me, except devastatingly handsome, walked in, and he was playing me, the patient, in the actor's reenactment of it. I was like, oh, I'm not really.
Oh my God.
That's the pretty guy. That's the pretty version of me right there. So that's how they call it Taft-Hartley in the business. That's when you become eligible to join the union. And then I got the audition for Two Guys, a Girl, in a Pizza Place. And that was my first real sitcom role. And
what year was that, bro?
That was, I want to say 97 or 98.
Wow.
I think it was 96.
Wow.
Yeah,
what was your
1992 when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, would you say that's the most exciting, the first most exciting moment in your? I guess it was.
Oh, absolutely.
That sitcom.
Your first time in front of what's great about doing a sitcom in front of a live audience is you get that same rush that you do doing stand up, but you're on television. It's really, really exhilarating when you're waiting for your cue. And you're like, just don't screw up, don't screw up, don't swear, don't screw up. And it's really, it was really fun. I loved it.
Now, was that like your wheelhouse? Because you had to learn lines and you had it's like an acting thing instead of like a stand-up thing. So how far away was that from your wheelhouse?
Well, you got to listen when you're acting. When you're stand-up, you know, yeah, when you're a comedian, it's you're running things. You're saying whatever you want, whenever you want.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's kind of a reason a lot of comics don't make the transition to acting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you'll meet a lot of
yeah.
comedians that aren't really talking to you. They're just waiting for their turn to talk.
Right,
Which I
right,
found
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Right.
that was just such a what really struck me was it's such a collaborative effort between, you know, the writers, the director, the producers, and the whole crew. Really, it's just like, how do we make this as funny as possible? I really dug that. And then there's, you know, they'll do the live taping, and then the writers will huddle up and they're like, "Oh, try this line," and then it works. And that's just really, really cool to like see just the creative process happening in real time like that. So I really fell in love with acting the first time that I was able to do it.
Wow, you took to it right away.
Yeah.
So this is actually going to take me to my. We're gonna skip and fast forward a little bit from
That's how my brain
97
works.
to like, I don't know. Now I'm talking about the Proud Family. I think I've always loved about you, Brian. And from the first time that I saw you, I said, this guy has an amazing voice, right? I'm a singer, so I know voices, I know voiceover artists, and your voice is so distinct. So when I heard you on the Proud Family, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like Brian Dunk. That's Brian Dunk. That's Brian Dunk from American Idol. And you were parodying American Idol.
Yep, playing myself a bunch of times.
That's awesome.
And that's what I've always respected about Brian, is that he's always been, from every role that I have saw you in, you've always been very approachable. Do you think that that's segue into doing voice acting and other things outside of stand-up?
Oh man, would I like to do more voice acting? It's been a while, and I really like it. You don't even have to shower for that. It doesn't matter. I really do want to do more voice work because it's so much fun. I did an animated series with Brian Posehn and Jeffrey Tambor, who is unbelievable. But that guy is he is an unbelievable character. Just to be in a booth with that man and watch him work. But I really enjoy the voiceover. But thank you. You know what? I'm the youngest of 10 kids. So I always kind of dug the fact that people knew me and I didn't know them because I was always little Dunk. I was somebody's little brother. And
that's so funny.
Feeling that. I don't know who you are, but you know who I am. And I always dug that.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about media. You know, you don't know the people who are on the receiving end of it.
Right.
And when they come back, and, you know, when I first met Linda, you know, I told her, I said, you know, and all these other people that I've met, you know, through my career, you know, I never would have thought, you know, as a child, even still here in this moment, Dunk, if I can call you that.
That's everybody called me.
You know, even here in this moment now, you know, with all the things that I've done, I never would have imagined now, you know, as an adult, that, you know, I can sit here, you know, and give you praise about all the cool things that you've done, you know, and everybody,
really cool. You know, because I have a lot of admiration for people like you. You said you're a singer. That's what I want to do. I'm not kidding. Like I've sang with a couple bands, just sat in with them. It's so much more of a rush than stand up to me.
Wow. What direction, if I may ask, Dunk, what direction of music do you like?
Oh, when I was bartending at Madigan's, which was there's several bars in my hometown. It's one street light, and that one street has about 7 or 8 bars on it. Elegantville is the name of the town, but people have referred to it as Alcoholville. I don't know how it started, but I used to sit in with a couple bands, and I would sing The Doors. And
oh, wow. Okay.
And then one night, the band was like, "Hey, we're going to take a drive. You want to go with us?" I'm like, "Of course I do." I'm with the band, and we're smoking a joint like for 3 miles, and then we turn around, we come right back, and I mean, I float into the bar, and we get ready to do their next set, and they're like, "Hey, let's get Dunk up here." I'm like, no, and I'm not kidding. I think I sang 4 Doors songs, and I channeled Jim. I swear.
Oh, wow. I'm totally shocked because I wasn't even going in that direction in my mind's eye. That's amazing.
I wouldn't have expected that either. Like
I
in
love
2000,
The Doors. I think it's good.
You easily look like you could have been a member of BD Mac. Like you were Like you were that look, dude. You were clean. You had like the like just debonair look, man. Like you like I totally was expecting that. Like the Doors was not seeing that.
Yeah,
right on.
that's I'm a classic rock. No,
I love it.
I'm giving you an air pound right now.
You're talking my music right now. Oh yeah.
In fact, I want to start a Doors tribute band called the Dorks. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now. And by the way, I don't know if you know this. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you can see I've been doing this. I might have a potential lawsuit on my hands. When it was about the beginning of 2021, and we'd been stuck inside. And I got frustrated. I couldn't perform. And so I thought, I miss private room karaoke. I used to go to Koreatown, sometimes with a party of like 30 people, sometimes with one other person, and just get drunk and sing karaoke. And I thought, my living room is a private room and everything is on YouTube. So I would just put the camera on the TV and you could see the lyrics, and I would just have some drinks and sing. And I call it Dunkleoki. And that's
great.
About 80 or 90 songs I have online right now. And then I just see Kelly Clarkson, who I adore, come out with an album of karaoke. And I'm like, how'd you get that idea?
We love Kelly Clarkson. Let's just take a moment to talk about the originals, since we're on the original, Kelly and you. I love authenticity, man. I love you both for sticking to your guns on, what makes you both you. Can we just take a small time? I know you get asked this a lot. Let's just take a small moment to ask about what it was like being caught up in the whirlwind that was American Idol.
Well, I'll tell you what, first of all, talking about Kelly, she really, I don't even think they found her original audition. That's how under the radar she was. But when she just kept getting stronger and stronger, and it became a point where it was undeniable. They were like, this girl is really, really talented. And then there was a song, I don't know how late in the process it was. I think it was maybe a few episodes from the end, but she sang the song, I Can't Live If Living Is Without You. And I was 10 feet away from her. And I watched it and I thought, oh, she's going to be a superstar. There's no question. This is
wow.
You want to talk about authentic. That girl was so down to earth and so cool and so kind. And from what I've heard, I haven't talked to her in years, but apparently she hasn't changed at all. And just so cool for her and all her success.
Wow. Wonderful. It's wonderful to hear that from somebody that was actually standing 10 feet away from her when she was singing. Wow. Thank you for that.
So do you remember, Brian, when you got the call that American Idol?
Well, it's interesting. I had just done Friends, and by the way, a lot of people still refer to me as the seventh friend.
How can you forget that?
I remember that episode.
And by
how can you forget that?
And by a lot of people, I mean me.
I want to hear all about it, but okay.
That was my first guest starring role. The difference is when you do a co-starring, that's 5 lines or under, and there's a certain pay rate. And then that was really the first guest starring role that I had. I don't know how many lines it was, maybe 10 or 11. Wow. But then you're in a weird situation. You're like, oh, I just did a guest starring role on one of the biggest shows on TV. Now what happens if I, get an audition for a 3-line? And I actually turn stuff down because once you get seen in a category, you're kind of stuck there.
Okay.
And,
yes, I get it.
So I had stopped going on any kind of hosting audition. It's not really what I wanted to do, but I had a development deal for my own sitcom in 2001, and we pitched to all the networks, and it didn't sell. But somebody that I pitched to at Fox remembered me and brought me in for the Idol audition, because at that point, to my understanding, they had seen about 3,000 people.
Wow.
All over the country. And I came in late in the process, and I was like, well, I don't really want to do these hosting auditions. But, I'm not, if I'm being requested, of course you're going to go in.
Absolutely.
And I auditioned, and then they were like, can you stick around? I'm like, okay. And an hour later, the executive producers came, auditioned again. And then I tested about 2 days later. And what a test deal is, here's what's fun about a test deal. You do your contract before you do your audition, so you know exactly how much you have to lose. if you screw it up.
Okay.
So it was me and about 6 other people, and they just kept bringing us in, 2 by 2. And when they brought me in with the same guy I'd already gone in with, I thought, well, this is probably a good sign. And I auditioned, and fun fact, that guy's name is Mike Richards, who you may remember from Jeopardy, the little controversy.
I do.
Oh my God.
That guy should have been Seacrest. But for whatever reason, and I thought, well, I can't do any better. Here's the thing. When I went in there, I don't know what I said, but I got a laugh early. And I don't know, there was probably 15 to 20 people. You couldn't really see anybody's face because it was a dark kind of theater style room. But I had them. It was just one of those magical moments where you're just in the zone. You're in a flow state, and everything I said worked. And they put me with this Mike Richards, who I learned later that's who this guy was. And a producer came over, and they looked at him, and they said, "Okay, you drive the train." And they looked at me and they said, "You just back off a little bit," because I had him in a headlock and I was not letting go. So we did our last audition, and then I thought, well, I either got this or I don't. I went to my good friend's house. I started drinking Jack and Coke, and it was about 3 drinks in.
As one does. Yes.
As one does when they unwind from the most stressful day of their life. Because it's mentally and emotionally just draining to be on like that in that kind of high pressured situation. And then I got a message from the casting director. She's like, "I can't get a hold of your manager and agent. We need to see if you can come back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And I thought, are you out of your mind? First of all, I don't do 7 a.m. Second of all, I can't do this again. That was lightning in a bottle. I can only screw this up." So what they wanted me to have breakfast with this guy, Ryan Seacrest. So that we met, and then we went and we tested together. And from that test, we were on set working together the next day. I guess what they didn't want to do is give this job to 2 people who had really no broadcasting experience. And Ryan had his own radio show, and he had also done a couple of TV gigs. I think American Gladiator. You remember that show?
Oh yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah. He did American Gladiator Juniors, which apparently was beating the crap out of each other.
Oh wow! So I didn't know there were juniors.
A couple on camera experiences. So and that was it. And then we had the job, and we were just here we go.
Wow,
that's an amazing story. I mean, really. I mean, no matter what happens, it's just so amazing to hear this. Yeah,
I can tell you that after we auditioned, Ryan.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to Access Lakeshore Drive with Brian Dunkleman. That's my radio voice.
We walked out, and some woman, I don't know who she was, but as I was walking by, she just leaned in and whispered, she's like, "Get ready for your life to change." And I went in my car, and I didn't know yes or no, but that kind of seemed like a pretty good sign. And I got into the car, I just started crying, and I called my girlfriend at the time, and I just said, "I got it. I know I got it." And she started crying too. And then, man, yeah, my life did change. All right.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Now that was, that was an amazing experience, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got to see the behind the scenes too, which I have a vocal school with my husband together since 30 years over here. And the one thing we tell them always, our kids, don't go to those doggone shows. I was going to say another word. Don't go to those shows. You can't take a shortcut like that. Yeah. And it's just not, there's, you can't, it's like, why don't, the reason why they don't have, someone's looking for a surgeon is because it doesn't work. You don't want them operating on you just because they win a damn show.
I feel I feel the same way that you do, but life has changed, hasn't it?
I know.
No, we didn't have TikTok, and now people are making, it's a good thing to give so many people an opportunity to showcase their talent and to be able to post videos like this. But for somebody like me, it's like, you got to Malcolm Gladwell this. You got to put in your 10,000 hours because.
Well, right. And it's funny, Dunk, because
you don't know how to handle it.
Feel the same. Me and Linda were talking about this. I actually, since we have Dunkleman on the show, Linda, I think we're just gonna let it rip on this show. Fuck. Okay. I said fuck.
Yeah, beautiful. I was like, I can't.
All right. You know what? Because I got, I get messages from what I like to call. They ask how did you get your blue check mark? And I, of course, you tuck your tail between your legs and you don't respond. But privately, Dunk, I told Linda, I said, what the fuck is wrong with people? I'm like, there's no shortcut to anything in this life. Like, you got to put in your work. Like,
yep.
This is why they end up failing if they, once they're off the show. They end up failing because they don't have the background.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have the chops. You got to have the experience. I mean,
well, the experience, and just because you hold a note doesn't mean you can do the song. Right. A lot of people can't. It's the whole package, man. And without that big backing thing, like the big show like that, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's all gone, and they don't know what to do because they've never done it before. Right. And then they end up, what happened to so and so? Well, I can tell you what happened. They weren't ready.
Yep, I agree. You know what? To a certain extent, even though I had so much experience, even I wasn't ready.
That was great, though, that you just jumped in feet first. I love it.
Now, that's the
job. You held your own. I mean, you totally were like in your own zone, dude. So much, in fact, that I will say that someone actually copied somewhat of your style a little bit. I'll leave it at that.
Who are you referring to? You can't leave it like that.
Really? Who are you talking about?
What are you talking about, Dunk? I don't know who you're talking about. That other person.
It's interesting. A little behind the scenes stuff. When we were in live commercial breaks, sometimes I would crack a joke to the audience, and then a certain someone would repeat the same damn thing that I had just said.
No.
I'm not
kidding. Public record. You can go watch it.
I know. I missed a lot of that. I used to come home and watch reruns and stuff every time I come home once a year. Yeah.
Why wouldn't a network re-air that first season? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's never been re-aired. It was the 20th anniversary, and I would make about 30 grand in residuals. So really, what's happening? Why are we not re-airing that first season?
You know what? But the crazy part is, and the beautiful part about the internet now is these networks, labels, they don't have as much control as they used to. And you can find full clips on YouTube.
You can find full episodes, and they're just heinous video quality. It almost adds to the allure of it. I cannot find that season on DVD high quality anywhere. It was out of stock in Europe. I looked everywhere I could, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's selling them for $30. All he did was I got all these little discs that he had burned from YouTube. I was like, this is $40, but it just doesn't exist.
Well, we have to change that. We have to get a campaign going. I mean, maybe for
the 50th anniversary, because this goddamn show's not going away.
It won't.
They had me back for the Fox finale. I thought it was the finale. I thought it was over. I immediately tweeted, "See, I told you that show would never last without me." And then they lied, and they kept going on another network.
You're hilarious, Doug. You are cracking me up. Oh, God. You need your own show. And what's stopping you from recording a song?
I am in development for my own television show right now.
Great.
Do tell.
Oh, it's tentatively titled "I Shit the Bed with Brian Dunkleman," and it's basically just a fun look at somebody who maybe made some poor judgment calls in his life, which we all do. We all make mistakes, but
of course.
I have another development meeting in 2 hours. We've been meeting every Tuesday, and what's great? We came up with that title in February. Before, somebody very famously in the news actually did shit the bed. It's really part of the lexicon now. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of a Curb Your Enthusiasm style shot show with me at the center.
Okay, because in my mind, as soon as you said that, I started thinking of that show that Kirstie Alley had.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great show. I'm excited for you, Doug.
I really am too. Yes. And may I say something, Dunk? What is stopping you from recording something? You should record
a comedy album. Do a comedy album, brother. You got to do something.
Or there's music with it.
I have not been doing much stand up, but you know what? When it just was announced that she was doing her karaoke album, I thought somebody would approach me and do an album of my Dunkey-okies, because look, I'm changing some of the words. So it's stream of consciousness. I'm drunk. What more do you want? Very entertaining.
I'm going to take a look at that after we hang up here. I'm going to.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
My Instagram is at the Brian Dunkleman, because there's a young girl in Long Island who decided she needed my name more than me, and I cannot get it back. So I just said, "Well,
got to be kidding
Brian Dunkleman now." And I'm telling you, I think I've got about 80 songs posted on there. I am going to have a Doors cover band called the Dorks. I'm also just going to have a cover band called the Dunklemen. And that's I do.
That's great. That's your backing band. I can totally see it.
That's it, man. That's it.
I can totally see that. So now, Dunk, how was, man, you really, as crazy as it sounds, dude, like you during the 2000s, like you were kicking, bro. Like you went from American Idol to another big ass reality franchise, Celebrity Fit Club. How was that monster?
Well, let's just say that there was a little gap in between those years, because I could not get. I fired my manager, and I could not get another one. I was told by one potential manager, "You've got the stink on you." And nobody would touch me because nobody believed that I left that show of my own accord. And I got kind of raked through the coals, raked over the coals, whatever that saying is. But I struggled pretty strongly for a couple of years there. And I think somebody threw me a bone with that Celebrity Fit Club. I think somebody, and I got the call. I was like, "Do you think that I've just been eating ice cream straight out of the tub under the covers nonstop?" What do you think happened to me? They kind of made it like people that are in decent shape, but just trying to lose that last few pounds. So it was a great experience. And I said, "Well, yeah, for 80 grand, I'm in. I'll do it."
You won that too. Your team won, right?
Yeah, our team did win.
That's awesome.
We won because of Tina Others, who, I mean, look, here's the situation of how my mental state was on that. I'm with Tina Others, who I love. She was on Family Ties. Willie Ames from 8 is Enough, which I grew up watching. You got Screech. You got Aaron Moran, Shortcake from Happy Days. God rest her soul. She was wonderful. But all these people I grew up watching. But the difference was all of these people, their shows were on television and hit 20, 30 years ago. Not only was my show still on the air, it was still #1.
Right.
So
wow.
big blow to my ego to do this kind of show, which I never really wanted to do that kind of show. But when somebody offers you that much money and you haven't worked for a while, you kind of take it. And it ended up, you know what I really liked? I liked in between takes and in between shooting when we were all in a van just laughing. That was what I enjoyed the most.
Oh, wonderful.
A lot of the stuff that we actually had to do.
Oh, yeah.
Fan of, you know, doing a marine style obstacle course. But then again, I was like, oh, I can actually do this shit.
What's so special about that show was it had 2 funny motherfuckers on, you and some more.
Oh, I love some more. She was so awesome. You know what? AJ Benza in those vans, he was the one holding court. That guy is.
I remember AJ Benza, yeah.
But some more, I loved some more. She was fantastic. Yeah, we really did have a good time. But man, some of the shit that was no joke what they were making us do.
I believe that. That's
it hurt.
Right.
It was real.
Oh, it hurt. We weren't living on barracks, but we didn't know what was going on. And they, they send a town car and you get up in the morning and you're like, oh, I wonder how this is going to be. And then they put you on a bus and then they pull the bus into this basically camp that they had, designed as a military camp. And we did stay there just 2 nights a week. We weren't there for a month. We would do it 2 nights a week and then we would go home and then it was us whether we were working out or eating right. And then they brought us back in. That's the magic of television. But no, it was intense when I had to carry those. I remember I had to carry these logs, and they were about 30 pounds a piece. And I'm like, oh, I have to do every single one, huh? Okay. I was like, this is bullshit. Right. I hurt myself, but and they took me to the hospital. I was fine, but
I admire you for doing things like that. You have done so many different types of things. You are only to be admired.
He's a chameleon.
As far as I'm concerned. Really? No. You just bounce back, come back in a whole nother corner.
He's a chameleon, a true chameleon.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I had a lot of different experiences and a lot of opportunity. Look, man, when I moved here when I was 25, I moved here on my basically my 25th birthday. I got my first apartment in LA. The power hadn't been turned on yet, and I was sitting there with candles, a boom box with batteries, and a bottle of vodka, just thinking, what the fuck am I
Oh my
doing?
God, it sounds like the beginning of a rock show or something.
It does,
yeah.
or a really good novel.
Yeah,
Like,
what's gonna happen? Yeah, that's how
wow.
I got here. So I
Speaking
I
of-
just thought maybe I'll get on TV a few times. You know,
I-
that's the goal when you come out here.
Well, right. And you did a lot more than that. You did so much. And I really need to ask, I mean, I'm dying to ask you this about Friends. How was it meeting those crazy people? Please just, whatever you can remember.
I went on the audition and I went in the audition. I had a call back, and back in these days, you'd go and have like 6 other guys. You all kind of look the same. You're in there. You're all sitting in a room together, and then one by one, you go in and audition. And I went into my audition. I came back, and when it was all over, one of the casting director came out into the room where we all were and said, "Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Brian, you can stay."
Oh.
And I watched everybody get up and leave. And 5 minutes later, I was on a golf cart. And I was on the WB lot, and they just took me across the lot. And I was, hey, this is Matthew. This is Lisa. Hi, I'm Dunkleman.
Oh,
And
wow.
we were rehearsing.
So awesome. Oh, my God.
Rehearsing immediately. So I did not have time to freak out. I didn't have time to think about it.
No, you couldn't play the fan. Right.
Yeah,
right.
We're working now. And what was cool, now listen, here's a tip for the younger people. When you get on a television set, or even if you're an extra, don't speak unless you're spoken to. Don't go up to Matt LeBlanc. Don't go up, hey, David Schwimmer, hey, I got a part. Don't do that. Let them come to you. So I really only was hanging out with Matthew and Lisa, and they were wonderful. It was so much fun. The day of the shoot, you work 3 days. The day of the shoot, Bruce Willis was the other big guest star on that episode.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
I remember that. Yeah.
So my scene was the last scene. And I had been there since 10 a.m. and it was like 8 p.m. And I'm like, just get this over with. I cannot take this anxiety. I'm dying. Just let me get it over with so I don't have to feel this anymore. And then we shot my scene. It was so great. And I improv'd a bunch at the end. They come in and they talk me into exchanging rings, and then they spoil my engagement. And basically, I just kept going. And I went over and I got down on one knee. I proposed to the girl, and then I grabbed my champagne glass and I just chugged it. And then I grabbed hers and I chugged that, and I just grabbed the bottle. And it got really big laughs. And Jennifer Aniston, as soon as the scene was over, came running up to me and gave me and I hadn't met her yet. She gave me the biggest hug. She's like, "Oh my God, that was so funny." And then they did the curtain call, and she just grabbed my hand. And she's like, "Come on, come with us."
Oh my God.
And so it was the cast of Friends and me doing the final curtain call. And I wish I had it on video or at least a picture. But
I got tears in my eyes.
Not everything was documented every second like it is now. But yeah, special memory for me.
What a wonderful story. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. God. Yeah, that's
really
awesome,
great.
Really.
And I still get checks. Oh, I still get checks. And you know what's cool? Every generation now is discovering that show. It still holds up. My girlfriend, her daughter at the time we started dating was 8 years old, and she had just started discovering Friends, and that gave me instant credibility. She was too young. She didn't know what American Idol was.
Right.
Yeah.
That was instant cred. That was instant street cred. So keep those checks coming, please.
Yes, right. That's excellent.
So,
great story.
I had one more question for you, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Linda here. So, how was it being the host of Family Feud Live?
That was so great. That was so great. This was in, I'm going to say, 2005. So, I left Idol and things weren't great. And, Fremantle is one of the big companies that does American Idol.
Yes.
At this point, things were so bad and my mental health was not good. I went home for a wedding and I got a one-way ticket. I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm not doing well. I went home and I stayed home for about 3 weeks. And I like to say I took some time off to concentrate on my painting. Oh, you're an artist? No, houses.
Oh.
There's a friend needed their house painted, and I've done that before. I did it when I was a kid, so I stayed there. I painted the inside of their house, and then my agent got a call. It's like Fremantle called. They want to see if you're interested in doing this, hosting this live version of the Family Feud. And I thought, are you sure? Don't they hate me? And no, they don't. So I went to Atlantic City. And it was so cool because it's the old set and it's the old music and it's Richard Dawson kissing. They're showing the clips and he's kissing every woman on the lips.
I know.
Try that now in this guilt, Survey says,
I loved him.
Survey says me too.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So, and to be able to, live audience and everybody's excited and they just pull the families right up from the audience and it was really, really fun. And then you know what happened? It just cut too. I did that, I think 3 times over the summer. They brought me in for 2 weeks. Good gig, man. You're working from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock and that's it. You can do whatever you want the whole day. But all those years later, I'm talking right before the pandemic hit, I started thinking about that gig. I started thinking, man, I didn't appreciate that. I was getting $5 grand a week to have fun. And I was pretty miserable. Because all I was thinking about is the millions of dollars that I could have been making. So I really wasn't present in really appreciating the opportunity that I had then. And I started thinking about it. And I started thinking, I wonder if they're doing that. I wonder if they're doing that anymore. And I looked up online. It doesn't look like they are. I'm not kidding. 2 weeks later, I got a message from a producer on Facebook. Hey, I got a gig with Fremantle. Let me know if you might be interested. And I thought, this is not real. Who's messing with me? And it was for the Family Feud live celebrity version that they were doing. Now, they didn't ask me to host it, but they asked me to be the announcer. And you
have a great voice.
I started thinking about that. I manifested it, man. I don't know how else to say it. 2 weeks later, I get this message. And the next thing I know, I'm on tour. With
put it out there in the universe.
Kathy Rigby. Do you remember Kathy Rigby?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Gymnast.
Yeah. Yes, her and this guy. I don't know if you watch The Bachelor in Paradise or something. Grocery Store Joe.
Okay.
I don't watch reality TV, but he was the big star in that. He was a really nice guy. So we did that for about a month. And then a few months later, we did it again, but they got a big tour bus. So cut to, I'm on a tour bus with Pauly Shore and Chris Kattan.
Wow.
Oh, that must have been interesting there.
Oh, my God. It was so much fun. Chris was there for 2 weeks, and then he left, and then Tom Arnold came for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, you're kidding.
Did you guys get on a camera together? Oh, my God.
It was so fun. Pauly Shore is exactly how you think he is. Just delightful.
Oh, my God. Is he still like that?
Yeah, he's the same good. He's the same guy. And he lives through his phone. So like he's walking up and hey, Chris, buddy, why don't you want to talk to me, buddy? Come on, say hello to everybody, buddy. Like he's just live.
He's funny.
Of his life. And then he kind of looks at me. He's like, "Oh, hey, Dunk." He knows I don't have that many followers. It's like, what's the point? Chris, guy, man, did you hate me, Chris? He's exactly.
Oh my God, he sounds like that. That's right.
He does sound like that. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's great.
Yeah, that was so fun. And then the world came to a pause, and we haven't started doing it again. But it was a really good time.
Was that in Vegas?
No, that was all over the place. We were in a tour.
Oh, that you were touring with that.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we started in Pennsylvania and we made our way all the way down to Florida. So it was a trip.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
So much fun, yeah. Oh my gosh, what a crew.
Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, and the crew, amazing. Like the guy who did the lighting design, I just went to his wedding last weekend. It was phenomenal. Just a wonderful, wonderful group of people.
I like the fact that you kept in touch with the ones behind the scene. They're so important and they're so great guys.
Oh, they're my favorite part.
Yeah,
they're my favorite part of every production. Absolutely. Is hanging out with sound guys and just everybody nice and so cool,
That's very cool. So I would have like a question now, because I saw that if it's okay with you, Dantès, you released a trailer for a documentary about your life called Dunkleman. Is that?
Yeah, well, you could call it Dunkleman.
Dunkleman. Oh my God, I've been in Germany.
You're doing the German.
You got it very German.
No, let me tell you how that came about. The pandemic hit, And I thought, you know what? This is going to be a really fun 2 or 3 months. This is going to be great.
Right.
I had a 7-year-old. My son was 7 at the time, and he had been wanting to do a YouTube channel playing video games. And, because there's a bunch of those on YouTube, and he was obsessed with them. I'm like, oh, this is my chance. Now I'll have time. I went and I got the last day before everything shut down. I went to Michael's and I got this huge sheet of green construction paper.
Yeah.
Up, and I learned how to do this. I shot everything, and I made him be a little host, and we called it the Dunks. And I would play. I would have a game from my generation because I found all these Atari games. Well, they're all available on Xbox now. So we're playing, Galaga, and we're playing Combat, and like the rudimentary basketball that was just so horrible, and just playing one of those. And then the next week we would play like a modern day basketball game or a Roblox game, something from his generation. And it was just a lot of fun. And I didn't have any really intent behind it. I just put it up on YouTube and put it on my social media. Wow. Some of these videos were getting, I'm not exaggerating, maybe 11 views. One of the guys viewing these videos was a director, producer who had remembered me from Idol. And he said for at least 15 years, he's had a notebook with movie ideas. And one of the ideas, it just said Dunkleman. Well, he had time to deep dive, and he learned everything that kind of happened to me. And I got a call. I got a call on my birthday that year.
That's a great birthday present.
Unbelievable.
Like, there's this guy who wants to do a movie about your life story. I said, really? And he's like, he wants you to play yourself, like kind of like Howard Stern did in Private Parts. So we had a phone meeting the next day, and we talked for 3.5 hours. And I just started talking about my life story and everything that had happened. He's taking notes. And he's like, I want to rent a little theater. And the idea was he was just going to get me on camera, talking into camera, telling these stories. And he was going to edit it together with Idol footage and maybe some press clippings to use to get funding for investors. Well, the night before, hey, look, we're going to be honest. I smoked a joint and I thought, oh, should I have written something? Should I have written something down? Because he was just going to be like, okay, tell the story about your dad. Okay, tell the story about this. And I was just going to go. And I thought, oh my God, I should have written a one-man show. And so the next day, we're in an empty theater. There's only 3 of us. There's a guy, he's got 2 cameras, and he's the sound guy and the cinematographer all together, and then the director. And I just said, we wrote a little something to how do we start this? And then I just told him, you know what, just start rolling. And with, there was cuts, obviously, but I just talked, I think, for 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Just telling my story. And even in the performance of it, there were times where you could tell something good was happening.
Yeah.
Finished, and the director called me that night. He's like, I've just been looking at some of this footage, and he's like, I think that this is strong enough to sell it to as its own project. And so that's how it started. And it took a long time, but I edited everything together. We pitched to networks, and there was strong interest, from Showtime and HBO and Netflix.
I can see that on Showtime for sure.
They wanted to see it as a finished documentary because my agent was pitching it as a documentary, even though it's not really that. The best way I can describe this is a one-man show.
Yes.
In front of nobody, just straight into camera. And then they wanted to see it fully finished. A document, it costs a lot of money.
It does. That's
clips,
right.
music, graphics, and all that. And, I didn't have it. So I took the money that I had gotten from, the pandemic grants, the emergency disaster, the PPP loans.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
And I cut it together, and I had to learn how to edit. All my experience was on iMovie doing those YouTube videos.
Yeah, me too.
Now I had to learn how to do big boy editing. It was so hard, and I was in tears a few times. Like, I can't do this, but
very time consuming. But once you get it, you got it.
Everything you need to know is on YouTube. If you just learn it. And I had one friend that did the class in high school, and he helped me. I would have never been able to do it without him. But I worked on that day and night for, I would say, almost 3 months solid. And then got accepted on Amazon, and it's on right now. It's called Dunkleman, and it's basically a 100-minute performance.
Congratulations! Congratulations! That's a big accomplishment.
Really nice things about it. It's really, really good to hear.
All right, listeners. Well, you make sure that you head on over to Amazon to check that out.
Yeah, Amazon Prime Video. Just punch in Dunkleman, Dunkleman.
I have that, and I'm gonna be looking at that. And you know what? Everybody who's listening right now, learn from Dunk here, because he puts himself out there. I don't care what happens. You are constantly putting yourself out there, and that's why people are picking you up and seeing you and putting you into other things. God bless you. You are an absolute inspiration.
Oh, that's really sweet of you to say. I really appreciate
it. It's true. It's true.
It's true.
When the trailer from that film, when it hadn't been released, we didn't even know if it was going to be accepted by Amazon. But you know, they're ahead of the studio. Is like I've been a fan of Brian for years, and saw that trailer and contacted me, and that's the television show I'm in development for right now. And it's just like doing something during the lockdown of the pandemic. This opportunity that fell in my lap has led to this. And then, you know, and around the same time, I get a call from my manager. He's like, "You got an offer for an acting gig." I said, "What are you talking about?" I didn't audition. He's like, "No, she's just a big fan of yours." I'm like, "Where has she been? 20 years old. Where have you been?" And I did this acting gig, and it was 40, 45 lines. I've never had that many lines. And the name of the show, I shouldn't be saying this, but it's called Second Chances.
Really?
Like, are you kidding me?
Okay.
So it just fell into my lap, and I'm not sure what streaming service it's going to be on, but you should know soon.
I'm
okay. Yeah, let us know. Yeah, definitely let us know.
Keep us up to date. Once.
Yeah, let us know and keep us up to date so we can, you know,
Second chances. Yeah,
we're big on cross promoting. You know,
I appreciate it. I'm gonna be going on tour with the Dorks soon. I can't wait.
If you ever come to Frankfurt, Germany, I'm gonna be in the front row.
Oh man, you know, all I need are musicians. I just have me. I'm Jim. Here's what I need. I need a brilliant keyboardist. I need a brilliant guitarist, and I just need a drummer.
Okay, that's all. Okay, good. All right, so we can put that together over here.
Yeah, we can put that together.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding about this. If there are any musicians, if somebody can pull off Ray Manzarek and Krieger, contact me. I want to start doing this.
Well, you hear it here first, folks. He is looking to get the band started first.
Get the band back together.
Yeah, he's getting the band back together. Who knows? One of our lucky listeners might be the one.
And also, I have a very small apartment, so we're going to need to practice at your place.
Well, okay. All right. Well, listeners, make sure you have at least a 4,000 square foot house.
A big garage or a studio, you know, whatever, and a bunch of money to get us off the ground.
Oh, yeah. Sure. We got, wait, I have to write everything down. Hold on. There you go. Okay. All right. I got the list.
Well, Dunk, it has been an absolute privilege and honor to have you on the show. We know that you are busy. We are definitely sending you a lot of love and light and support as you go into your next meeting.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Make sure drive right.